Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're getting into something that affects millions, but often goes completely unnoticed until it's too late. We're talking about supporting your bones against osteopenia and osteoporosis.
Exactly. And our goal today is to go way beyond the standard advice, the usual, just take more calcium.
Right.
We have some great source material that really digs into the science, the 7 most important nutrients, and the specific lifestyle habits that can make a real difference in building skeletal strength as you age.
It's like we're trying to find the owner's manual for bone maintenance. And our sources are pretty comprehensive, covering everything from symptoms you wouldn't expect, right down to the nitty-gritty of how these nutrients work.
That's the plan.
So let's start with the basics of this silent threat, because for so many people, the first time they even hear the word osteoporosis is right after a fall, right after something breaks.
And that's the tragedy. That break is the final outcome, not the beginning of the story. When we talk about bone loss, we're really talking about a drop in what's called bone mineral density.
And how do we even measure that?
There's a specific tool called a DXA scan. It's a type of low-dose X-ray.
Okay, the DXA scan. And that gives you a number.
It gives you what's called a T-score. And that T-score is crucial. It compares your bone density to that of a healthy young adult when their bones are at their strongest, what we call peak bone mass.
So it's like a report card for your bones. What's a good score?
A good score, a healthy score, is anything down to mega 1.0. But once you dip below that, say between mega 1.0 and a mega 2.5, you're in the precursor stage. That's osteopenia.
So osteopenia is the yellow light, the warning sign.
It's exactly that. Your bones are weaker, they're thinner than they should be, but they haven't hit that critical point of being truly fragile yet. It's the body saying, hey, we need to pay attention here.
And what happens if you cross that line?
If your T-score hits negative 2.5 or lower, that's a diagnosis of osteoporosis. At that point, the bones are genuinely brittle, they're porous, and they're much more likely to fracture from even a minor fall or a simple strain.
Which really highlights the key point, right? Prevention is so much more effective than trying to treat it after the fact with medication.
Profoundly more effective. Catching it in that osteopenia stage and making changes can alter your entire trajectory.
And speaking of catching it early, let's talk about those non-fracture symptoms. What are the subtle physical clues that you should be looking out for?
Well, the most obvious one, and the one people often dismiss as just getting old, is actually losing height.
Losing height, you mean actually shrinking?
Yes, losing an inch or even several inches. That's a direct result of compression in the vertebrae. Your skeletal frame is literally getting smaller.
Wow. And I imagine that comes with other changes too.
It does. You might see a change in posture, like a stooped or hunched over look. This can lead to chronic back pain, sometimes even shortness of breath because your rib cage has less room to expand, muscle weakness, joint pain. It all points to a decline in that foundational structure.
So who needs to be the most aware of this? Who's most at risk?
Demographically, the biggest group by far is postmenopausal women over the age of 50. The data shows they're 4 times more likely than men to develop these conditions.
4 times? Why such a huge difference?
It's almost all about hormones, specifically the decline in estrogen, which plays a really protective role in maintaining bone density.
So the risk skyrockets for women after menopause. But what about for men or for everyone else? What other factors speed this up?
Well, some major lifestyle risks apply to everyone. Smoking and excessive alcohol use are 2 of the biggest accelerators of bone loss. They just wreak havoc on the system.
And I was really struck by the long list of medical conditions that are linked to it.
Yes, anything that causes chronic inflammation or messes with nutrient absorption is a problem. So we're talking about things like rheumatoid arthritis, IBD, kidney or liver disease, and even conditions like celiac disease or hyperthyroidism.
It's not just diseases, though. What about medications? Some really common ones were on that list.
This is a critical point. Long-term use of certain drugs can be a major factor. Corticosteroids are a big one. Also, some hormone therapies for cancer, proton pump inhibitors for acid reflux.
Wait, PPIs? Millions of people take those every day.
They do, and also certain anticoagulants and loop diuretics. If you're on any of these for the long haul, it's so important to have a conversation with your doctor about protecting your bones proactively.
Okay, so we've laid out the problem. Let's pivot to the solutions. This is the exciting part, the 7 key nutrients that can build up our bone resilience.
Right, and we can group them into 3 categories. Let's start with what I'd call the directors, the vitamins that manage the whole process. That's vitamin D and vitamin K2.
Everyone's heard of vitamin D for bones. But what is it actually doing?
Vitamin D is the gatekeeper. Its main job is to regulate how much calcium you absorb from your food in your intestine. Without enough vitamin D, you can eat all the calcium in the world, and it just won't get into your system.
So it unlocks the door.
It unlocks the door. And it also helps regulate the whole bone remodeling process, that constant cycle of breaking down old bone and building new bone. You can get it from sunlight, fatty fish, egg yolks, foods like that.
Okay, so vitamin D gets the calcium in the bloodstream. Why do we need K2? Isn't getting it into the body enough?
But then you have all this calcium floating around. Where does it go? That's K2's job. K2 is the GPS.
I like that, the GPS.
It activates these special proteins, osteocalcin and matrix GLA protein, and their job is to physically move calcium into your bones and teeth, and, just as importantly, keep it out of your soft tissues, like your arteries.
That is a crucial distinction. You want hard bones, not hard arteries.
You absolutely do. This is why the D3 and K2 partnership is so vital. You'll find K2 in things like chicken, beef, egg yolks, and especially grass-fed dairy like good cheese or butter.
Okay, so after the directors, we have the actual structural components: phosphorus, calcium, and magnesium. Let's start with phosphorus, which most people probably don't think about.
They don't, but it's fundamental. It makes up 70 to 80% of the mineral crystals in bone. These things called hydroxyapatite crystals. Phosphorus is what gives bone its hardness and rigidity. It's the core ingredient in the cement.
And you find that in meat, fish, nuts, seeds.
Exactly. Now onto the big one, calcium. Everyone thinks they need more, but our sources had a really important warning about just popping calcium pills.
Yes, this was a huge takeaway for me. Tell us about that.
The issue is that large doses of supplemental calcium, especially without enough D and K2, can be poorly absorbed. It can end up causing problems like kidney stones or calcification in your blood vessels without actually doing much to improve your bone composition.
So taking that big calcium pill could actually be counterproductive or even harmful.
It could be. The focus should really be on getting calcium from your food where it's much more bioavailable.
So things like dairy whole milk, yogurt, and dark leafy greens like kale and broccoli.
Precisely. And for that calcium to be used properly, you need the third structural piece, which is magnesium.
What's magnesium's job in all this?
Magnesium is the quality control manager. It makes sure those hydroxyapatite crystals form correctly. If you're deficient in magnesium, the crystals actually get too big and become brittle.
So it disrupts the whole structure at a microscopic level.
It does. And it also throws off the balance between your bone-building cells, the osteoblasts, and your bone-resorbing cells, the osteoclasts. So you end up breaking down bone faster than you build it.
And you can get magnesium from a lot of the same foods, right? Leafy greens, nuts, seeds, avocados.
And sugar-free dark chocolate, which is always good news.
I'm a big fan of that source. Okay, final nutrient category. The builders and the matrix. Trace minerals and protein. This feels like the next level of detail.
It really is. We're talking about a team of minerals: zinc, strontium, and boron. Zinc helps boost the activity of those bone-building cells and helps make collagen. Strontium is fascinating. It actually helps promote new bone formation while slowing down bone breakdown.
And boron is one I had never connected to bone health.
It's the hidden regulator. Boron helps your body metabolize calcium, magnesium, and vitamin D. But it also helps regulate your steroid hormones, like estrogen and testosterone.
And we already know how important estrogen is, so boron is helping to support that system.
It's playing a vital supporting role. You find these trace minerals in things like beef, seafood oysters are amazing for zinc avocados, and nuts.
And finally, protein. We always think of protein for muscles, not bones.
But protein is the scaffolding.
Yep.
It makes up about half of your bone's volume. It provides the flexible collagen matrix that the minerals are laid down on. Think of it like rebar in concrete. Without the rebar, the concrete is strong, but it's brittle. It shatters.
That's a great image. So without enough protein, your bones just don't have that resilience.
Exactly. Low protein intake is directly linked to a higher risk of hip fractures. So getting high-quality, bioavailable protein is non-negotiable for bone health.
This is a perfect pivot. We've covered the what to eat. Now let's talk about how to move and live. What kind of exercise is best for bones?
You have to create mechanical stress. Bone is living tissue, and it responds to being loaded by getting stronger. So you need resistance and weight-bearing exercises.
What does that mean in practice? Hiking, lifting weights.
All of the above. Hiking, stair climbing, dancing, anything where your body is working against gravity. But strength training is also critically important. Lifting weights puts a unique stress on the bones that really stimulates that new growth.
So you need both the impact of, say, walking and the targeted stress of lifting,
Ideally, yes. And you also need to incorporate balance exercises.
which seems less about building bone and more about not falling over.
That's exactly it. You can have the strongest bones in the world, but if your balance is poor, your fracture risk is still high. Things like yoga or Tai Chi are incredible for reducing the risk of falls, which is just as important.
And we have to circle back to the things to avoid.
We do. Excessive alcohol and smoking, it's not worth it. They directly interfere with calcium absorption and inhibit your bone-building cells. You're just undoing all your good work.
Let's touch on body weight one last time because there was some interesting nuance there. It's not as simple as we think.
It's not. Being underweight is a major risk factor for low bone mass. On the other hand, while being overweight can sometimes lead to higher bone density readings simply from the mechanical load.
There's a but.
There's a big but. The other health issues that often come with being overweight, like type 2 diabetes or inflammation, can actually accelerate bone loss. So the goal is a healthy, stable weight.
This has been incredibly thorough. So if we were to boil it all down for the listener, the main takeaway is that osteopenia is that critical early warning.
It is, and building real skeletal strength isn't about one magic pill, it's a strategy. It's about getting that team of 7 nutrients working together.
The D and K2 as the directors, the calcium, magnesium, and phosphorus as the building blocks.
And the trace minerals and protein providing that crucial support and structure. And then you have to pair all of that with consistent weight-bearing exercise to actually signal to your body, hey, build more bone here.
So when should someone go from just focusing on these habits to actually talking to their doctor about getting screened?
Well, if you're over 50 and you have any of those risk factors we mentioned, you're a smoker, you have low body weight, a family history, you should bring it up now. As a general rule, women 65 and over and men 70 and over should be getting screened regularly.
And it's a conversation worth having, especially if you want to manage things with lifestyle changes first.
Absolutely. The earlier you know your status, the more powerful these natural interventions become.
Fantastic. Okay, for our final thought, we've established that protein provides the collagen matrix, the scaffolding, and K2 makes sure calcium gets deposited onto that scaffolding. Given how they all work together, if you had to prioritize just one non-D vitamin in your 30s to pay dividends in your 70s, which component of the structural framework is the non-negotiable insurance policy against brittleness?